So, Corey, the last time we probably met up was when you did the show here in Bakersfield for me.
Hmm.
We booked that show. Great show, good experience. Since then, what have you been up to um, in comedy?
Gotcha. That was like back like was that pre-pandemic or
Oh,
like
yes,
during the pandemic?
definitely.
Gotcha. So it's been a minute. Um, Honestly, I'm trying to figure that out because the pandemic like put everybody on this mandatory stop for a while, and like me personally, I just got kind of institutionalized into my house, so now I'm trying to like force myself to go back outside, you know.
Yeah.
And it's been like a year or two since like everything's been totally opened up, and California's been really kind of sketch on like what we can do and we can't do and what's all the way open. And once we got like to a certain level, I think it was like the middle of last year, but it's just like, you know what, I ain't going back inside. So like since we all just de facto decided things are normal, whether or not like we don't care about monkeypox, we don't care about our neighbors, like we don't care about old people. So we're just back to the grind. And I'm still kind of like figuring out like where I stand in this comedy game right now. Like I haven't like honestly I haven't been this inactive for a while, but I also had a whole lot of like personal stuff and like money things I need to work out. So kind of balances out.
Do you feel there's like a outside view of this? Like, if you tell someone, "Oh, I've been doing comedy for such time," like they look at that as a solid amount of time, but they don't really consider injuries, work, schedules, family, moving, occupation. Like, a lot of things happens where you have gaps in that time that you actually do some work.
Definitely. In fact, when I first started comedy, or better yet, when I was first telling people that I was doing comedy, I started when I was 11. So technically, I'm in my 28th year of comedy, but like everything from like 11 to 22 doesn't count because I really started doing comedy in the Bay when I went to college because then
Hmm.
I could. Like when I was 11, I could do talent shows, my mom's art gallery shows, and every now and again, they let me in the side door to do the comedy club because I was so young. But like to do comedy consistently, I've been at it for about 15 years. But like you said, there are these gaps. There are these periods where like you're not working. You might not be working in comedy, but you're like working a job just to like pay the bills because comedy. Even when like here's this tricky thing. Even when you like made it, even when you're known, you still gotta find those gigs. Like at any point in time, if you stop working, you stop eating. So you got like it's always sink or swim. So like you can't ever be ashamed to take a day job. But I guess to answer your question, um,
There's definitely
it
that
all counts.
outside view.
Yeah, there's definitely the outside view, but like it all adds up because like all those gaps add to your writing. All those gaps will be your jokes at some point. Like one of my best bits lately is about how during the pandemic, like before the pandemic, my girlfriend and I were together for 5 years, and then during the pandemic, we were together for 25 years. So it's just, just things of that nature where it was like, hey, I haven't been doing comedy for this long because I was like, my girlfriend moved out and I needed to start my life over and shit like that, you know?
So with those breaks, do you have a style of writing? Do you first? Let me give you an example. So do you write out a joke with a concept, or are you more telling a story that you know is kind of funny and you're embellishing and rewriting some of it? And it would be a combination of it, but yeah.
You ever watch 8 Mile?
No.
Okay. It was a really good scene where like Eminem's sitting on a bus and he's writing his rap, but there's gaps all over the place. So like you have like palms sweaty, arms heavy, and like just like down the line, and it doesn't have the rest of it in there. And
Hmm.
like throughout the movie, like you're hearing "Lose Yourself," but it's like broken up because he doesn't have all the lyrics in there yet. So for me, it's
Oh.
like I never really write out the whole thing. Like I do a lot of outlining. like I'll have a concept of like white women are the death of all fads. Like
Mm.
once it gets to white women, that's when it's completely dead. And then I'll just add details and details and details, and I'll use it on stage. And what works, I keep. And what doesn't, I don't. And when I write out a joke word for word, it's because I'm like damn near ready to put it on television. Like I need to have this down to no fat on this thing. But a lot of times my writing is constantly fluid because like it's like I said earlier, it's like I'll put the concept up there and then it starts filling in, and jokes are never officially like completely done. Like the more you live, the more things you can add to it, you know?
Yeah. I myself, I was doing comedy for about like 3 years solid, and then
Mm.
I got a job that just required a lot of my time, and then took like maybe like a 3 to 4 year break, and so now I'm going back into it, and I think it's been like 3 weeks that I've tried to make it out to some mics, and like every time I just feel like fuck, I'm fucking bombing horrible. Like this is horrible, and there's like the inclination to do an old set, but it's like nah, I'm just gonna keep sticking to bombing until I gotta get something new, you know?
I hear you. I hear you. I don't like bombing. I'm like I always relate comedy to fight sports, and bombing is getting your ass kicked. And no boxer ever wants to get their ass kicked. It's part of what gets you to be a good boxer. But like nobody wants to get out there and just get embarrassed. And so what I do to kind of counteract that is like I always work new stuff into old stuff. Like I know what works. I'll start with something tried and true. I'll try and like, and I'll move into some material that leads into the new thing that I'm talking. That's loosely related to the new thing I'm talking about. I'll try the new thing. If that works, great. I keep it. If it don't, screw that joke. Moving on, and I'll close with something I know works. You know.
So I I like boxing. I've been boxing since I was like a teenager, and
Nice.
you know I go in and out of shape. So there's times that I feel that I'm like I'm in the zone of boxing, and that's usually
Mm.
like when my breathing's right. You know, I don't feel fatigued. It's not really about going in all crazy. It's more just like having the bob and not getting hit. And when the dude swings at you, you just move move swiftly and then let that fulfill the air. And you know you don't even hit him. Sometimes you just kind of let it sink in that like yeah I moved out of your way. You know, don't even nod that thing yeah you moved out of the way. You know, kind of there's a rhythm and a feeling to like okay my conditioning is coming back. Is there a feeling that you have when you're doing comedy? Because I know for myself, there's times that I go up, I feel like I bombed, but then someone will tell you how great your set was, and not like the comedian being nice. It's more like someone in the crowd, like, oh, that was cool, man. I liked your set when you said this and that. And, like they're related to it. And now is that low hanging fruit to you? Like to me, that feels like low hanging fruit because I'm like I didn't really feel comfortable with that set, but this person liked it, but it was more because they related to it. Wasn't well, I mean that is comedy too, though.
I wouldn't say it's low hanging fruit, but like it's definitely they're not ever gonna understand where we're coming from. You know, like we all they see is something they've never seen before or heard before, and that's why they're like, "Oh man, that was awesome." But to us, like it's this intricate thing that like we're trying to keep all these moving pieces, and something doesn't work. I'm like, ugh, and we're our own worst critic. So it's important to like when you get in that mode to when you get uber critical of yourself to let that outside influence in from the audience to be like hey the people that your audience the people that hear you the people that are ultimately going if you are going to be successful at this or going to make you like hey I still think you're funny I think that was great I whatever you're doing keep doing it so you're on the right track it's just a matter of like us being in our own heads. And like, it's great that you told me you do boxing. I've been dabbling with martial arts in and out my whole life. And the thing that I draw me to that is like Mike Tyson or whatever meme is attributed to Mike Tyson saying this is everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And it's very true. And with comedy, like you can be doing your set and everything's going great. And then some heckler, it's like, and you got to figure it out. And there's another saying in comedy is like good comics say funny things, great comics say things funny. And I'm I'm think I'm finally getting to where I say things funny because I've gotten to the point where I got my act down. I know like if it's karate, I got a black belt. I'm good in that. I'm trying to learn boxing, I'm trying to learn jiu-jitsu, I'm trying to learn Muay Thai, but this one thing, I got that shit down pat. But so if there's a situation where like, okay, this isn't working, that isn't working, I can always walk back and go, you know, like so and like no matter what shape I'm in, I can always throw that head kick and you never expect a fat dude to hit you with a head kick. So that's my point with comedy. It's like no matter what shape you get in and out of, you always have those years of practice. You know?
Yeah, yeah. To yeah. I mean, I do it myself too. If I'm working on, like I said, like I took that hiatus and I came back. And do you just do comedy, or do you like look at other comedians and like do research? I know for me, I've always liked school, and so when I watch comedy, I watch a comedian, and it's more of trying to figure out what's funny about this person, or to me, and then just trying to apply that to myself. You know, I'll see a comedian and I'll be like, that joke isn't really that funny, but the way that this person facial expressions or body language, you know, their animation, was what really sold the joke. So then I'll think about that sometimes. Like I don't do very much of that in my comedy, but I will be kind of conscious of like, oh, okay, I can sell it more if I, you know, run across the straight stage, or stomp my foot, or you know, move my hands in a certain way to express myself. Um, and even understanding my face, you know, like what stands out, you know, with me having like large glasses or being bald and a large beard, you know, obviously like my mouth expressions aren't very visual, so you know, it's more of like my eyes and my forehead and shit
You
because I
have
have
a
a big
ZZ Top.
beard.
Um,
For yourself, like how deep does your comedy go? I guess.
I'm always going to be a student of the game. In fact, ironically, the comic that made me want to do comedy, and it's not even anything like any personal connection. I was just happened to be like when I was about like 10 years old. My uncle Willie is the like he don't take no shit, but he's also like the cleverest dude in the family. Like, he's the fastest guy with a joke, and I've never been at that point. I've never been able to make him laugh. And this is what I was like learning, that I have this skill to make people laugh and stuff, but I hadn't done comedy yet. And like it was always a challenge trying to make him laugh. And one day we're sitting we're sitting in his house, and he's watching some stand up special on HBO, and I look back on it, it was Carlos Mencia, and he was rolling, and I was like, I want that, whatever that skill is, I want that, right? And and to get that, you have to watch other comics. And I've always enjoyed the skill of watching like Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, too many people in the name, Mitch Hedberg, Bill Hicks, like people that like you see it, Ron White, you're like, God damn, why didn't I think of that? Like just super smart people. And I don't watch as much as I used to. Like I'm not constantly like. Sometimes I wonder where my hunger went. But like when I have those moments, I'll go out. And recently, I just went out to Bar Lubitsch. My boy Pap Johnson had a great show with a bunch of young up and coming black comics that I respect, and they had me in tears. Like everybody from start to finish was great. And I was like, part of me was like intimidated, like, damn, I need to step my game up. But the other part of me was like inspired, like, okay, this is good. Like this is a bunch of comics. There's like one real audience member in there. Like everybody else was comics and we all knew each other. So it was one of those things where like you could do material, but if you wanna win this room, you're gonna have to like give us a personal experience. It's funny. And they all did that. And that I did like just that aspect of the game was like, damn, like how would I have handled that? You know?
Yeah.
So it gets so deep the to like how like the skill and timing and struggle that's involved in this. But again, to answer your question, to get not to get long winded, yeah, I stay watching comedy, not as much as I should. But when I realize I'm not doing that, that's when I'm like, okay, I got to go out and see what's going on, see what's being said, you know, get
So
get up get a fire up under me.
so you discuss the grind, the the having to get out there, do put in the work, take on the lessons, apply it. So what what's next for you, and what does that entail? Like if you're trying to, do a movie, specific movie with so and so, what is it going to take, or what is your next step? What are you looking to do, I guess, in the coming year?
Hopefully a lot more acting. I've been auditioning for a lot of stuff. I had a voiceover audition before you hit me up for this. Um, I want to do more comedy, and that's on me. I like literally just been working my day job, which is a 9 to 5. I've got a million other things going on, and comedy had to take a back seat for a while, and I want to get back to that. And but not like I never stopped. I just like I went from doing it a bunch of times a week to like maybe once every 2 weeks, and that doesn't sit well with me right now. You know.
Yeah, no, I
But as far
understand.
as what's next, like acting, comedy, and I need to write. Like I need to like literally write scripts and stuff in a show and something. Like just I feel like I used to be a lot more creative than I am lately.
And do you write like on paper with pen, pencil, you notepad, um, phone?
Honestly, honestly, I write on social media. Like I'll put something out there and I'll get that immediate feedback, and then that'll turn into something. Like I've legit written full sketches that have turned into videos because of like some post I put out there, and then people chimed in, and then it becomes a thing. Like when you're not using social media for anxiety and like keeping up with Kardashians and shit, it is a good writing utensil because you get immediate feedback for better or for worse.
I see. And what what circuit are you doing as far as the comedy? You sticking to LA? Are you traveling throughout California?
I
Who,
need to do more in LA because I mean, I live here. That's kind of wasting it. But to be perfectly honest with you, the LA comedy scene is kind of whack. And it's not because of the comedians. I mean, we are the shit that we are. But no matter where you are, but in LA, it's a little bit different for the simple fact that like I'm glad I learned in the Bay because the Bay has room for you to grow. We actually even saw like a ladder to success, so to speak, out there. It's like you go to the open mics and then you network with people, and then they tell you, okay, you got to go to the punchline, and you got to go to the punchline on Sundays, and then they see you, and then you get through that circuit, and then you get pass through that and you host and you feature and then eventually you get some kind of credit and you get to be a headliner and then it goes from there. So you can see
right?
where the levels are. In LA, it's a shotgun blast. There is no reason to rhyme to it. Everything just blah. If you got a million social media followers, you're famous. If you went viral, you have a manager. If you did 5 funny minutes on a dare and just happened to be in front of a Gersh
Hmm.
agent, then now you're. If you just happen to be friends with somebody who's a producer, like you have to be okay with the fact that none of this shit makes sense out here, and it's not going to be
That's
no.
one way to put it. Yeah, it
It's
makes
not
no
gonna,
fucking sense.
yeah, none at all, and you're not. It's not going to be some linear progression. Your talent isn't gonna, like being funny is like the fourth most important thing to being a comic in LA, and patience is the first because you got to have the patience to deal with all this. You got to have the patience and the
Right.
focus to keep making yourself better because that ultimately will decide what kind of successful you are. Like I love Kevin Hart, and a lot of people don't like Kevin Hart because honestly, he's just gotten so popular that you decide you don't like him. But there was a point when everybody liked Kevin Hart, and that's why he's famous. And that dude works his ass off. He's never not working. I think he's going to be the first comedian to just have a heart attack on stage from trying to do 7 shows at the same damn time. And I think I've gone off on a tangent away from what I was trying
No,
to say.
people. I think people do. I think when you get reach those levels that few people have reached, where they can sell out the shows that they do and they can be as consistent as they are, just seem like they're infallible. The expectations become so high that you probably don't even enjoy the things that you would otherwise enjoy had you seen it for the first time or not knowing who the person was, and you're just listening to this and you're like, oh shit, this is funny. This guy's funny. Um, I think otherwise you just kind of feel that the expectation is just so high. You want to just because I'll listen to Chappelle, And I know he's still funny, but like it's just I think my expectation of what I expect for him sometimes I'm just like I'm like, oh man, it was funny, but oh man, this part could have been, I think he could have been funnier here. But it's like, man, if I just sat back and
Yeah.
enjoyed it, it was a good show. It was good.
Every every one of your favorite artists has an album you hate. You know what I mean? Like at some point you're gonna get to where you just reach your yellow submarine or whatever it is that you like go off on a tangent and do some weird Andre 3000 like, oh, this isn't me anymore. Like as an artist you have to continue growing, and a lot of people aren't going to be ready to take that ride with you, and at some point, or you just might start to lose your touch a little bit. Like, at some point Tom Brady is going to start failing at football, I hope. But like for the rest of us, even your favorites are gonna have a miss. So it just is what it is. But like back what I was saying, I remember what I was trying to say about Kevin Hart. Um, Actually, no, I lost it. Damn the weed.
Just the sidetrack there? When you do your set, do you prefer like for myself? I won't drink. I won't smoke or anything like that. I'm always just trying to be. I don't know. I can't do
Sober.
it. I can't have a drink and try to do a comedy set. I'll either mumble too much or I'll I wouldn't say I would do bad. I just don't feel comfortable drinking and stuff. And I know if I've had too many, where I got like started picking up a buzz, I will forget
Mm.
my sequence of my jokes, for sure. Like no
I feel-
questions. And so I just avoid it. Do you have a mindset that you prefer to go up on? And because I know people who have to drink to go up, and those guys I feel bad for them because 20 years down the line that's gonna be hard.
Yeah, and in certain situations like TV, like you can't really drink on set and stuff like that. But
Right.
like
Good point.
I, it depends. It depends on the show for me. I'll have a drink just because socially, it just makes me feel better, and like having like a shot or just a little bit of alcohol in my system when I get on the stage is like just a nice little. It's like a nice little. It's like oil in the engine. Just makes things run a little smoother.
Yeah.
Like gives me a nice little. It puts me in a nice mood to do what I got to do. But if I drink too much, which sometimes happens, like if I bring my drink up on stage with me and I drink too much of it too quickly, I'll start to. Yeah, but like, and I don't like to do shows high because then I'm too slow to keep up with everything. But I have done shows where like that's the point where it's like, hey, come do a show so like do 5 minutes sober, go get fucked up, come back, and then perform that way. And that goes well because of I guess the novelty of it. The audience is like cool with it, but at the same time, like I don't want to do that. But I perform sober when it's important. I perform buzzed when it's like kind of a dive bar where it's like when you looking around like the last comic ate it and it's like, let's do this, and like just to give you that liquid courage, I ain't scared of you, like that type of thing. And when it's just a shit show, it's like, okay, I don't care. Like there's been certain Indian casinos where I'm like, who gives a shit? I'm gonna get high.
I've had where the people don't like they're regulars. It's like a dive bar and they're regulars and they don't want you there. Like they don't even understand why the owner's doing this shit to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the situation where I'll definitely have a shot because it's like, look, I know I'm going into this with animosity, so I'm going to win you guys over by the time this is over. And if I don't win you over, I'm winning over the table. So you're just going to be the weird guy not liking me tonight.
Is
That's
there
just my attitude.
is there a if you were to I guess have put yourself in to measure yourself here, you where you're at now and what you want to be as far as your skill and your delivery, or how where are you at on that scale? Like for my, I'll give you an example. For
That's
myself,
a rough question.
for myself, I feel since I've been out and the way I feel when I'm going up, there's that I can feel that difference. Like of getting a good laugh and knowing that the joke was not low hanging fruit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I can feel that, and then when I'm at that level, where I feel like I could be even better because I watch other comedians and I'll see how well they write, and it's kind of like art. I got into art for a while. I got into jujitsu and all those things. You start out with just intrigue in it. You're entertained by it, but then when you start to study its fundamentals, then you learn to appreciate it at a different level. So you can watch Kevin Hart and laugh and have a good time. But as you're watching it, you can be like, that was a fucking good ass callback. Like, you're just like, damn, that was good. That was good. He set that up. Or, um, I
Mhm.
know I can still get to that point and I don't have all that. So, I would, if I was to say where I can go, I'd say I'm not even 20%, 10% where I could be or should be at to say that, oh, I'm an established comedian and I'm doing well. And I know what I'm doing when I'm up there. Maybe I'm not famous and I'm not, on movies and stuff, but I definitely know that my craft is well, and I'm where I want to be. What jokes I write is another point, but I know
Okay.
I'm doing well.
Okay. So for me, it's kind of hard to answer that because like I don't feel like my talent and my experience are match where I'd like to be professionally. And again, I mentioned earlier, like, don't be ashamed to have a day job, but it's not
For sure.
necessarily where I want to be. I love my day job. Like, they take great care of me, but it's not like I'm not a household name. I'm not, uh, I'm not on the road. Like, I don't necessarily need to be famous. When I was younger, I thought I wanted to be famous, and that's kind of a pain in the ass. I would rather be able to. I'm fine with it if it happens,
Mm-hmm.
but I would rather be able to make a very comfortable living from my craft. So whether that's writing on a show, whether that's performing cross country, whether that's being on TV, in front or behind the camera, that's where I want to be. So to say like where I'm at, like kind of rusty, but like I feel like Canelo after a title fight. It's like I need to get into shape. It's like okay, it was cool. I've been drinking. I've been eating a bunch of carne asada. Okay, like let's get back to work. You know,
He, yeah, man, that last fight that I watched. When does he fight Triple G? Like, is it this month or is it October? Do you follow?
I have
I'm
no
not really sure,
idea.
but I know it's coming soon.
I
But
think
before that, the fight before
I
that,
think my buddy called it.
when he fought that new weight, man, yeah, he looked bad. He looked really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, he did. Probably a bad example, but that's kind of what I meant. It's just like I know I have the ability to perform at a high level, but I haven't had the opportunity in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. Um, and then apart from that, how do you juggle, moving forward from here, like trying to have friends and family and entertainment, because it seems like you have to balance it, right, just to keep it all, but definitely, there's only so much output you can do, and so as you invest in one, you're not investing in the other. How's that been? I mean, obviously your job's been your priority.
That's a great question because I always feel like I'm not doing enough. Like I have a 9 to 5, I have a podcast, I technically have a production business that I like Robinson Comedy Services coming to you soon. Um, I act. Sometimes I perform. Like I got a million things going on, and at the same time, like I want to have a relationship. I want to be able to deal with my family. I want to be able to live my life, which is a problem a lot of comics have, where they don't live their life. They just are comics, and that's something that was really hard for me to like. That's actually why I had to take a step back. Like I'm gonna go off on a little more tangent. Like before the pandemic, I only attached myself to like Cory Showtime. I'm a comedian. Like that's who I was since I was 11 years old. I didn't know how to be anything else. And during the pandemic, when I had to force myself to not do comedy, or not force myself to not do comedy, I was doing Zoom shows and VR and whatnot. But like when I couldn't go out and be a comedian, I really had to get to know Corey Robinson. I had to get to know my regular ass person, and because like my whole life I've been trying this goal, and I this is the first time I got to be a human being and like go to concerts just to watch somebody I wanted to see versus like just hanging out and having to get like, being at a show and like, hey, you want to go do this, or like, paying to go to a game, paying to go to a movie, taking my girl to dinner, things you can't do as a comic because you're living in your car, um, paying your bills, getting going to the doctor regularly, all these things that like I just didn't really focus on, or I really put them so far on the back burner I wouldn't do them until they're emergencies. And so now I feel like I have a better balance of that, but I still don't feel like it's where I want to be. I'd rather be like, rest in peace, David Arnold. I saw somewhere that he wrote, if you work hard enough at night, the day job goes away. And that's what I'm trying to get to. And again, rest in peace, David Arnold, because he was next. And that dude was a comic. Everybody loved him. And he was like just about to have his big break. And the dude had a heart attack. It's heartbreaking.
That's horrible, man. That's
Yeah.
and that's I think that's one of the things that in comedy you do kind of get familiar with certain people, and you understand some people embellish certain jokes, and but some of those things that they're talking about are themes in their life, and you just kind of get to know somebody, and then sometimes you hang out afterwards and have conversations about stuff and try to one up each other on whatever event that's happened in your life, and you know you get to know somebody, and that sucks that when they pass away, or you notice that they have a really good talent and they don't get the fruition of all that they wanted doesn't come out. I know even in open mics you see comedians who they're like, man, that guy's fucking hilarious. Don't care. They'll disappear for months, and you kind of understand too that okay, they got lives too, and they got jobs and girlfriends and all kinds of different
Kids.
situations where they
Yeah.
can't do comedy, but you're just like, man, that guy's so fucking talented, man. It sucks that he's busier than me.
Exactly.
You talked
And
about
like, yeah, and if we
oh, go ahead.
don't, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, if you don't have a life, you won't have anything to joke about, and that's kind of the problem when you see a lot of comics getting burnt out. It's like you might be doing too much comedy, bro. Like, go live your life. Go sit at home and watch a TV show. Go to a movie. Go to art gallery. Go do something out of the box. Go do something that you can write about. Go sit in the park and watch people, and then watch somebody fall off a skateboard and then write a sketch about that. But like, if you're just in the comedy clubs, all you're gonna have is what you've been doing and the people you've been seeing, and drink tickets. Like, you got to get out to live your life so you have some things to talk about.
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially if you're telling jokes about experiences. So if you stop experiencing things, then either you have a shitload of stories, or you're just gonna eventually slow down and start drinking heavy.
Yeah, that happens
um,
too.
I'm always like trying to write better jokes. Obviously, trying to be a comedian, I want to write better jokes, but always writing. Um, because I've met older comics, and I've noticed the people who have been doing the same set because they got comfortable and they don't like writing new jokes, or that new joke doesn't give the same delivery that they want as working on a new joke, whatever the reason for it. Man, they fucking drink heavy, bro. They're all heavy ass fucking drinkers. Everybody who's been doing the same set, where you can look them up on YouTube, and it's the same set. Every time you see them, it's the same set. Man, they fucking drink, bro. They can fucking drink. But a rant. I was gonna ask you a question to see if you kind of go off on it. But your VR experience, you mentioned that a little while ago. What was that like? I actually, that's something I was thinking this last month, was getting a VR set. But then I heard that there's a new one coming out, and I wasn't too sure, but it's like $1,500, so I doubt it.
Yeah, don't even bother with that. The one I got is the one I got is $300. It costs about as much as a PlayStation. It's totally worth your investment as a comic, and it pretty much is a PlayStation. So if you like video games, you have a video game system. But um, I got into VR because I just like my buddy Big Al Gonzalez from the Bay. He found had gotten into it from another comic that started a comedy club in VR, and he had me come to the club like on my PC because I didn't buy an Oculus yet. And it was this software called AltSpace VR, and I just went on there with my computer, and my dude just all blocky and stuff moving around, and Al's like moving his hands and like having gestures and winking at me and shit, and I'm like, wow, this really feels like, I mean, it's Animal Crossing graphics, like, or Legend, like Super Nintendo Legend of Zelda type characters, but it's you. It's really you interacting. So when I did the first time I did stand up in VR, I'm like, this feels like this isn't the real thing because I'm not here. I even mentioned that to like you're not in front of people, but I am in front of people. It's a weird complex, but it's
You're
better
plugged
than
in,
like
bro. They
doing
plugged you
Zoom
in.
shows because like yeah, and it works because like I like it better than an open mic for the simple fact that like you know that old saying if you get stage fright, just imagine the audience in their underwear,
Yeah.
like, and it's supposed to make you less nervous. Nah, it's the other way around for me. Like if you get nervous, dude, like I need to be in my underwear. So like, if I'm in VR, chilling in my house, like just like standing in my living room, I can't get any more comfortable than that. So it's like if you don't like this shit, I'll take this off and go play, go watch TV or have a drink or go do another show. But like it's not, it doesn't feel as serious, so you can take more risks at the same time. So like the type of shit you wouldn't do at an open mic because there's somebody physically there to be like or whatever that could kind of embarrass you. Like you don't get that same feeling in VR, and I really enjoy it. I advocate all comics try VR and try comedy in VR, and then take it to the stage and see if it makes you feel better. It's like the same way you can train in sports in VR. Like there's a baseball game that's supposed to help you like be able to time the your swing better, and then you go out to the batting cage and you go up a couple points. That type of deal. Like I feel like it's a good simulator.
So here I got two questions for you. So one is myself, I did the Zoom over the pandemic. I was doing all the open mics on
We
Zoom,
all did.
and I kind of liked it. It's you didn't have that response from people, but if you were just trying to run your set and just try to hear it and record it, it was not bad at all. What I would do is
Mm-hmm.
instead of having the camera to my
Yep.
face, I just mounted it on my rack here, and then I just stood across from the room, and I held the mic on my hand. And so I was just to me, I was
There you
in a
go.
room. I was in a stage. I just kind of took advantage of
Mm-hmm.
it. So I think it kind of helped with me feeling comfortable, and I'm sure the crowd too was wanting to see my body language as well as I told the joke. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I enjoyed that part, but again, you couldn't get that feedback. It sounds like in VR you can get that feedback, and again, you have that ability to. I was doing Zooms during my breaks. I was at work and I had to go see clients, and then I would just pull over, take a break, when I knew it was my turn to go up. So on the drive, I'm getting there, and then they call my name. I'd pull over. Freaking, I knew I was coming up because I was on cue, and then just take a break, do my set, and go back to work. Um, I could do it pretty much at any hour, depending on where I did it. So I did not too many of them, a couple dozen of them, and I enjoyed it. For the VR, what's the process? Because again, I was looking at it, but I couldn't really figure out if I just needed the Oculus or if I needed a PlayStation, and then I couldn't figure out where to get onto these platforms because some of them seemed to be through Facebook and some of them were through that alt space, but I couldn't figure. I don't know. I just kind of a glimpse review of it. But what's your best advice to kind of speed up the process since you have experience?
Let me see if this comes through. Can you see my screen real quick?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to share my.
yeah, I
All
can see
right.
that.
Let me see.
Have
Um,
determined that Caucasian women are the death of all fads. Once white women start doing some shit, so hate to break it to all you Karens, Beckys, and Elizabeths, but like that's the reason why black people stop doing certain dances. Yeah. Remember the Cabbage Patch? We used to love the fucking Cabbage Patch, and then Becky got a hold of that fucking thing, and we can't do that shit no more. It was raised in the roof like a motherfucker, and then y'all just put the bitch down on us. We couldn't do that anymore. The moment Hillary Clinton dabbed on the campaign trail is where that shit died immediately.
And it's following all your mannerisms, right? Your hands
See,
and
right there, I
your
just
head movement.
yep, and that is why like I basically just deconstructed a joke that I explained to you my process of outlining and adding details, and I also explained to you how like doing it in VR makes it easier for me to try it than I would in open mic. I did this joke in VR and now worked it into my regular rotation because of that comfort level. And to with the Zoom shows, I enjoyed those just for the simple fact that like it allowed me to do comedy and we could still be socially distanced. But like I felt like I was either doing a podcast or like a desk show, like last week
Hmm.
tonight type deal, like a daily show. And that's dope because I would love to do that, but like it's not. It kind of feels like doing the show but with no script, so it's really hard to like determine how it's gonna go. But with VR, as I just showed you, like it's a lot more seamless because you it follows you're doing way more that you would normally do on a stage. There's just not a person in front of you or not an audience in front of you per se. Now,
Yeah.
what I can see is an audience of people that look like their avatars. You know, it gives you the same feedback. Matter of fact,
What
let me see. There you go.
so I
I
guess
found.
some follow-up questions regarding the VR then. So how
Mhm.
you said someone helped you out to set it up, but right now if you were to tell someone, okay, this is what you need to do to go ahead and jump on this stage, the stage that you were on. These are all the things you
Mhm.
would need and this is the process you would follow. Unless that takes too long.
One second. This is it. And it's not going to come like this because this has obviously been customized. But this little thing with the little hand controllers, $300. This is the old one. It cost me 400.
That's
But
an Oculus.
yes, this is all you need to get started. And you honestly don't even need that. Go to altspacevr.com and follow Failed to Render, and you can check out the comedy club from there. And once you have an idea of what it's going to be, you decide whether or not you want to perform. Like odds are, if you're trying to perform in VR, you've already performed in real life, so it shouldn't be that hard. And at the same time, um, if you haven't performed in VR, or if you haven't performed in real life, there's people that have gone to fail to render like, and it's crazy because they get people all over the world. This dude from Italy, this dude from Germany, this dude from Russia that performs at like 3 o'clock in the morning because it's different because of the time difference. And um, but like getting in the like just getting into the club, that's the important thing. But like because of VR, people that are too afraid to do stand up in real life, they've taken the dip, so to speak, and now they're more interested. It's like if you're learning gymnastics, like first they like help you do a flip, like where they physically flip you, and then you take a spring, and then you get more and more comfortable, and then you can just do a backflip on your own. So this is like water wings, you know. You're almost after you do this, you be like, I'm not so afraid of the water, and then you go swim.
Is there other things you want to do in VR since you started this? Like, do you play any games, or are you looking to do like paid? Is there paid VR gigs?
Yes, there are, and there are a lot more to come because it's an actual comedy club. As you can see, they from the screen I'm sharing. This is my fat ass in real life, standing in my living room on the left, on the top left. On the top right is what I can see. I'm gonna let this run in mute just so you can kind of see what's going on. And the bottom screen is what everybody else sees. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, and I did this basically to help the club, and they owe me big for this. But now, like, you see the concept of it, like
Yeah.
this is what, yeah, this is how it works, and that's why the feedback is so much kind of interactive. You know,
No,
I don't know why I'm looking at the back.
that's badass. No, that's badass. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely try it. I'm gonna at least watch because you can just watch right without the set.
Yeah, you can go to Failed to Render on Instagram, Facebook, any of those, and just watch clips, sets, people. You can watch. They've been streaming it live lately, so it's kind of like its own show. So you can just kind of watch like the comedy show live. You know.
Yeah. Um. All right. So we talked about those things, and we're gonna hit an hour. So I'll probably edit that out to like 30 minutes. Anything
No
specific you
worry.
wanted to cover before we head out?
Um, no, I think we covered everything. Is there anything you wanted to ask me that I rambled through and didn't quite answer?
No, I think you explained the VR stuff was really interesting part because again, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm kind of been of a homebody. I've been doing projects. I do like art and stuff, so I don't really have time to be going across town to hit a mic and then run back and like I lose a lot of time. So, um, I've been sticking to a few mics
But
near
don't kill
me.
yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Don't kill yourself for not going to mics, and that's something that, like, for the longest time, I got down on myself. I always feel like I'm not doing enough, and I felt like if I'm not out every night doing open mics, working on the craft, I'm cheating the game, and that's not the case. Like I mentioned earlier, you got to go out and live your life so you have shit to write about. You can't, and you can overtrain, just like in boxing, just like in any sport. You can overtrain to where you not like it's not healthy. Like if you're tired and you keep going, you're not getting stronger, you're getting weaker. So if you're a comic and you're constantly bombing at open mics, take a break. You know, go back,
Yeah,
like get it out of your system, right? Like and when you like and don't even do comedy for a week or two. And once you get the urge, once you feel like you have to, then things are gonna like it'll be better that way. Like you'll come up with something different. You'll come in there fresher. You won't just be frustrated. You'll want to go back out there. So like you can definitely get road rash from like just doing way too much, like, from grinding too hard. You'll grind yourself up.
yeah. My process when I was living in LA, I would hit a mic at 5, take the bus to the next mic, and then I would do that all the way until like 1 in the morning. So it would be usually I would do at least 3 to 5 mics, and I would do that every day after my shift at work. And I liked it. It was good and it helped, but that was kind of my system. I would do a joke, try it out, throw something out or fix it by the next on my bus ride to the next one. I'm cleaning it up, and by the end of the night, I would have like a good idea of like two or three jokes that I was like, okay, I'll keep working on these or wherever I'm at with each one of the jokes. And then moving out here, there was like no mics, and so it was just a different process. And I think I just kind of I, I hear what you're saying. You can definitely burn out even if you feel like you're making progress. Because I definitely was doing well, but also it was like you said, comedy was just my whole life. It was my whole afternoon after my shift. There was no like me hanging out or going somewhere or taking a trip. I was just constantly just focused on what's the best route to get to the next mic.
Yeah. And that show where you like the only time I ever traveled was to do comedy. Like I never like 2 years ago, me and my ex were together. Like we went to the Bahamas. No, it was more like 4 years ago, and that was the first real grown up vacation I'd ever taken. Like I still don't get me wrong, I still tried to find an open mic in the Bahamas because I'm addicted. And there was a comedy club at the Atlantis resort we're staying at, and I was like, okay, let me figure out how to get in here. But it like even then I had to realize like, oh shit, I'm on vacation. Like I came here specifically, like I saved up all year, and I'm here specifically to sit in the lazy river and drink drinks and unwind and get away from everything. And I'm making myself want to do comedy, and I had to check myself. I was like, if I was doing this for my job, where I was like, I'm forcing myself to send emails, I'm forcing myself to come up with marketing campaigns, I'm forcing myself to do all this extra work that I am not getting paid for. Why? you
Yeah,
know,
no,
especially
definitely.
on vacation. It's one thing to like be a workaholic and want to be the best at what you do. That's fine. I'm not swaying that, but like you're on vacation. Like be on vacation. Like, and it takes a while to like. We all know comics that just can't turn it the fuck off. You know what I mean?
Those people are hard, man. When they're going through their set and they're having a conversation with you, and they're going through their set.
Yeah, it's like, bro, just be a human. Like, just be a person. Like, like too many comics are comics first and foremost, and not human beings. I mean that. Like, I was one of them, and you need to come back to humanity if you want to be able to make it. Because in order to be a successful comic, you have to be relatable.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear that. All right, man. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate you coming through. We troubleshot your mic, which is awesome. So now you know how to work on your mic if you get in that situation. You got a couple of
I
the settings you
appreciate
can work
that.
on, and then for myself too, I worked out a couple of bugs right here. Definitely, I'm just gonna have to record at a lower resolution. Other than that, man, again, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And anytime you want to come on the show, if you're in town, you want to promote, or you got anything, we can either do it over a call, and we can do it this way as well. However, man, I really appreciate your time.
Gotcha. Robinson Comedy Services. It's a site that I set up that it's eventually. I just want to help comedians and get us paid. I gotta get paid first though, but I want to. It's like if you're like consultation, need help with merch. It helps both sides. I help comedians and I help clients. So if you're looking to book a show, if you own a venue and you want to put a show there, if you're a comedy club and you want like my like some help booking shows, Robinson Comedy Service is there to help any way we can.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.